Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Profotech Solutions team. I am Sanjay. We are learning Laravel Admin Panel Development Beginners tutorial and this is part number 32. Inside this video session guys, we will discuss about edit function with class data, and also guys, if you are a beginner to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and keep watching our previous video sessions to get the clear concept about Laravel Admin Panel Development tutorial. So basically guys, in our previous part we have completed about the edit operation with our class section. If you go to administrator panel, click on list sections, clicking on any of the edit button, and let's say that if I just suppose it convert to inactive, click on submit. Successfully we have edited the data. If you go to the list section, and this is the inactive section we did. So this is the section we have covered in our previous video session. So inside this video session we want the same operations should be performed with our list classes, because right now there is no operation performing inside this edit button, so we want make it functional. So if I copy this route, just copy that, go to editor and let me search this route. So this is the route and here it is. So it is using the controller something called school class controller, and here is the method. So if I copy this method name, open up called school class controller, and this is our controller. Inside this controller we have a method called list school classes, and basically this method uses, this is all about the listing of all the classes data what we have seen so far inside this grid view. Back to editor. Now inside this editor, first of all we have to make the edit button as a link button. So basically this is right now contains a hash symbol. So if we go up, let me use URL. By the help of this URL we will create our permalink. So scroll down, inside this hash symbol just get rid of that, single quotes with concatenate operator, and let's say that URL. Here we have a method called to. Inside this to we have to pass our permalink. So let's say that this is all about edit class, and in the second parameter we have to pass our class ID, so that on the behalf of class ID we can edit and save the data according to our respective classes. So here we have called class ID. So if I copy this class ID, go here and let me pass into our query string parameters. So basically concatenate with these things. So here it is. So if we save this file, go to administrator panel, reload this page, and now when I click on this edit button, as we can see that edit class and this is 2, this is the class ID. If I again click on another edit button, this is 5. But right now it is giving errors because we have not made any route or any view file for this route section. So back to editor, go to web.php, and basically what we have done inside our class section, the same procedure we have to repeat that. So if I copy this route, go here, and let's say that instead of this class section, this is called edit class, and this is the parameter, means this is the class ID. We are using the controller something called school class controller. Inside this school class controller, let's say that edit class data, and the name parameter it is using something as edit class, and this is all about data. So if I save this file, go here, reload this page, click on edit button. Now as we can see that again we have no method defined. Obviously we have defined our controller, and inside this controller we have to define this method. So just copy this method name, go to controller, and let's say that if I scroll down, or here if I make suppose public function, this is method name. Inside this method, firstly we have to receive the parameter which we are passing inside here. Okay, so this is all about the class ID. So let's say ID, and initially it should be null, and let's say that we are going to return our view. So return view, and inside this view we have to pass our view file name. So if we go to the resources folder, so back to resources folder, inside our views folder, admin, and inside our views we have a file something called add class.blade.php. So inside this views file, views folder, we have to create a file for the edit class. So this is all about edit class.blade.php. inside this file, we are going to put all the same contents what we have inside this add class.blade.php. So copy all the content, close this file and paste all the content inside this edit file. Back to top. Now here I'm going to change some of the parameters, something called title, and this is all about, let's say, edit class. Okay, this is all about the title of the page. Scroll down and this is all about, let's say, instead of add, this is edit operation, this is edit operation. Scroll here and all the changes actually we have to remains keep the same, all the things. Back to our controller and we have to pass our view file name. So this should be admin.views, and inside this views folder we have got edit_class. So if I save this file, back here, reload this page, we have an error, something called undefined variable sections. It means that this is a view file and this view file basically uses a sections variable, and this sections variables we haven't passed inside this while calling this view file. So back to add. Inside this add school class, if I copy all the code of all sections, scroll here and let me pass it here and again go up, and if I copy the parameters which we are passing to this view file, copy all the things, back here and let me pass to our edit file, save this, go to administrator panel, reload this page, and as we can see that the error has gone. Now next, what we have to do, we have to take this ID from the URL, and now by getting this ID we have to retrieve all the informations from our database table, and the table should be something called TBL classes. By getting all the details of the respective ID, we have to put all the details of these things right here inside this form, so that by clicking on submit button we will save all about the updated data according to this ID. So back to editor. Now inside this editor, what controller basically we are using for our classes, and this is all about school class. So if I press Control school class, and this is the table we are using. So by the help of this model, so if I copy this model name, go to our edit section, scroll down, and inside this where actually method we have made, and this is edit class. So we are going to fetch all the details. So let's say that class data, and it is using called school class, and here we are going to pass called where, and this is our ID. So instead of using where, if I use find, by using this find method, if I press or pass the ID which we are getting from the URL, after passing this, if I copy this class data, and let's say that here is the information called class, and this is all about the informations of this class to this respective ID. So let's change that, instead of this class, let's say class data. So copy this variable name, go to our view file, and firstly we want to actually take the information something called class name. So here we have to pass a view attribute. Inside this view I'm going to actually echo all the statements, the class name what we have to the respective ID. So let's say this is our class data. Inside this class data variable we have the value of called name. So let's say that name. So if I save this file, go to our browser and reload this page, this is our class name basically with this ID. Back here, let's say that I'm going to click on this alien. If I click on edit, this is our class name. So firstly we have done about the class name. Same thing we have to repeat with the class section, seat available, and the status section. Back to editor. Now we have to actually about this choose section. So as we know that we have inside this class table we have called class section ID. So back to editor, and let's say that here, or instead we can use the same procedure here. So let's say that if class data, let's say class data, and this is the class data where we have a variable called class section ID. So if I copy this column name, back here, and let's say that this is all about class section ID. If this ID equals to this section ID, it means that we have to select, let's say that this is not about curly pairs, this is all about end if. So in that case we have to select that the value. So this should be selected and we have to pass called selected. So if I save this file, back here, reload this page, and nothing actually chosen. So let me check that. So if I inspect this class section, after inspecting that, if you go to select, and inside this we have two values only called 3 and 5. So basically along this ID 4 we have called class section ID. This is something 1. It means that 1 is not here, so that's why it is not selected. So I think that we have made the 1 row means the value of 1 has inactive. So if I back here, call list classes, if I click on the first record, and this is all about 2, and with the 2 data we have called 3 section ID. It means that we have in our drop down list, and now as we can see that it is selected. So again back here, let's go to our seats available section. So inside this, let's say that value, inside this value let's say that class data, and inside this class data variable we have a value called seats available in our database table. Go to structure, copy this seats available column name back here, and I'm going to paste it here. So if I save this file, go here, reload this page, and as we can see that here we have called seats available value. Finally we have to make as a status. So back here, let's say that if class data has the status, and it has a column for the status something here. So if the class data has a status equal to 1, it means that we have to select the first value. So let's select it. And finally, if I copy this code, go to our inactive section, and let's say that if the value is not equal to 1, it means that if it is 0, then in that condition we have to select our inactive section. So back here, go here, reload this page, and as we have the active section selected. So for the testing of inactive section, so manually if I change about the ID 2, let's go ahead and change about the 2 ID with the inactive section, and let's say 0. So if I save this here, reload this page, and as we can see that the inactive section is now selected. It means that successfully we have populated all the data of the class section with this ID on that URL. And also inside this form we have to actually add one more element called input type hidden, which basically contains about the class ID. So go at the top, and let's say that input type equal to hidden, and basically this hidden field contains, and let's say name equal to class ID, and basically it contains the value something we have. So let's say that class data and something with that ID. By getting this class ID, actually we will update our data by submitting this form. So let's go ahead and change the route of this form. So this is not about save class, this is called edit save class. Now we have to make this named route parameter. Go to web.php, and we already made our save class. So if I copy and paste, and let's say that edit save class, go here, and let's say that edit save class data, and also we have to change called edit save class. So basically all the necessary setup we did about this class edit form. Go to administrator panel, reload this page, and if I inspect this form, so in that form actually we will find a new element should be added, something called input type hidden. So in the next video session guys, we will submit all the data to our method, something called edit save class, and by getting this method we will update all the records of this class. What we will update, so according to this section ID means class ID, we will update all the data inside our database table. So inside this video session guys, if you have any doubt, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session, bye guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.